Starting recording. All right, so welcome everyone. Here we are already in October. Just as a reminder, this meeting is being recorded. As I just mentioned, I'm going to record the Stroud updates today. We don't have a presentation, so we're going to just have extra time for open discussion, which we're not going to record, so that folks can feel a little more free to just express what they want to express. So as a reminder, this meeting occurs every third Thursday of the month from 2:30 to 3:30. The Zoom link is always the same, and I send out reminders a week prior and then usually the morning of or the night before, like I did yesterday. Second here, I'm in trouble with my visuals. Okay. Just as a reminder, attendees are often a part of DRWI. As I mentioned earlier, there's a DRWI event going on right now, so that may explain why we have a low attendance. Also working with groups that are in the DRB but are not directly associated with DRWI, and we have a few folks that attend from outside the Delaware River Basin. Supporting this effort to support groups in EnviroDIY with the DRWI funds as well as Seesaw. You can go to 4 States, 1 Source to see about the DRWI. And then Seesaw allows us to provide some additional support to folks in Pennsylvania. So these meetings are just time to check in, as well as we provide updates from the Stroud Center about EnviroDIY issues, updates, etc. We usually have presentations. We're kind of thinking about maybe doing some different formats for more discussion time, but generally we've had presentations. We may kind of do some rotation of those in the future, just depending on how much it looks like people want to have additional discussion time. There's me. A lot of the other Stroud folks are out on other things, so there's a lot of other things going on right now. And then Carol and George are 2 master watershed stewards who support the Stroud Center in doing this work. The recordings are available on this website, wikiwatershed.org/DRWI, for all of these meetings. Primary goal with Stroud Center's support to folks in the DRB in terms of EnviroDIY topics. Basically, just our main goal is to support station owners to use the stations for their own purposes. And we are doing additional data analysis and developing tools to help characterize and contextualize watersheds to support the usage of the stations for understanding and applying data in the local context. So today's agenda, intro, I'm going to give you some Stroud updates. No presentation today, so we'll have more time for discussion, which will not be recorded. So I'm just going to go right into the updates. I mentioned this in the last meeting, I think in August. We are recommending to remove the sensor bundles at least once a year. Should kind of be checking these for this type of rust that can happen, as well as kind of build up on these sensors. Taking the pin out and removing the bundle and really inspecting the sensors and inspecting inside this slot to make sure that the conductivity screw heads are clean, making sure that the turbidity window is clear, and then making sure that this PVC is able to actually slide off of this rebar. If you don't take the bundle out, what we have found over the last several years, and in some cases, the PVC will actually kind of just almost fuse to this rebar. So taking the bundle out from time to time can help prevent that. So just kind of recommending to do that sensor bundle removal every now and again. When you do that, it's a good idea to take a picture of the position of the sensors and the position of the pin, so that when you put them back, you have, if in case you forget what position they were, you have that reference so you can get them back at in the exact same position. We collected chemistry grab samples, what we've referred to as full suite, quote unquote, chemistry grabs at all of the active EnviroDIY monitoring stations in the Delaware River Basin. That was 102 samples. That is 100% complete at this point. These samples will be analyzed for this list of parameters. So all of these cations, these plus ions, as well as these nutrients and chloride, dissolved organic carbon, and suspended sediments. We do have this new service request form, which I've mentioned before. You can find this on this site. This is a form that you can fill out if you are having issues with your station and you're pretty sure that you need kind of like a formal visit from the Stroud Center to help with the station maintenance. This form can be found under service requests here at this website. So it's a drop-down menu under this help resources, and you'll see it under service requests. I've mentioned this before, but just to make it known that this support supplies list, which includes SD cards and adapters, power supplies, especially this time of year, it's often necessary to change out batteries because there's less light, but there's still canopy cover. So some stations won't charge fully, so you have to swap batteries from time to time, in which case you need all 4 of these items, which is essentially a battery and charger equipment, so you can swap batteries. This list is again under this drop-down menu, help resources drop-down menu at this website. And again, I've mentioned this before, but mentioning that there's this recommended roles and responsibilities sheet at this website under quick guides here, again, under help resources. And what this does is it breaks out the recommended roles within kind of our management of a monitoring station setup. So how can you manage this thing by parsing out roles among individuals? So there's a station manager, there's the desktop monitoring of Monitor My Watershed, there's sensor cleaning and station maintenance, and then there's quality control. So those 4 roles. And one thing to point out is all of these roles and responsibilities involve using Monitor My Watershed. So regardless of what role you're playing in managing a station, it's definitely good to be able to understand how to work within Monitor My Watershed. You can bring it up on your smartphone and look at the real-time data for your station, whether you're cleaning sensors, whether you're doing quality control. It's always going to be good to know what the data look like before you get to the site and then after you do your work at the site. Some updates on technology. That there are new cell boards. These are the old cell boards. I'll share some pictures of the new ones. These old ones by Digi were not working very well. And I think we had about 1 in 4 that was breaking. So when we kind of discovered that, Shannon Hicks pretty much decided that she needed to build one herself. So she designed a new one, and we are actively replacing those on stations where the old cell boards go bad. And we're often doing that along with the new Mayfly data logger, which I'll also talk about here in a few minutes. So here we are. These are all new additions to the EnviroDIY shop on envirodiy.org. So there's the new Mayfly data logger. There are new starter kits with the new Mayfly. Here's the new cell board. They come in packs of 5. And actually, I should have put up, there are prices up there now. I think this is an older image that I have, but there are prices up there now. This is a neat display that can go on to the Mayfly board that shows you the live data coming into the Mayfly, so that you don't even have to check monitor. Or if you don't have data streaming to monitor, you can check the data on this. Here's some additional pieces of equipment for sensors. So here's the new Mayfly. You can see it's a little bit different design. This is a little bit different cutout here. Same general setup, on-off switch, SD card slot, slots. This is where your vertical card will go in. Same with the watch battery, same general positioning. Your solar panel and your battery connections are slightly different, but they're still up here in the upper right corner. Your connections for the sensors are still down in this range. The CTDs will still go here. The turbidities will still go here. One point to mention here about this new logger, this was necessary if among many other reasons, and Shannon can hopefully talk about this in November when she's going to give more of a formal update on technology, hopefully, if she's at that point. But there was a need to work with the 12-volt sensors because all of these new turbidity sensors use 12 volts. The previous Mayfly was not able to do that. So this new Mayfly can function with these new turbidity sensors that are coming out. As we know, the Campbell OBS 3 Plus has been discontinued, and their new version, which I'll show here in a second, uses 12 volts, and the Yosemite wipered sensor, turbidity sensor that Shannon is currently testing, also uses 12 volts. So that's a major difference between the old Mayfly and the new one, is being able to connect these new turbidity sensors to it. So here's the new Mayfly, some nice pictures that Shannon got. Here's the new cell board. You can see the antenna. One thing to mention about this antenna, it was the same with the previous antennas, but you do not want these, when the board is on, you do not want these to come in contact with the board. So you're always going to slide these in at the external part of the foam, still in the box, but between the foam and the actual plastic box. This is that display I mentioned. You can see here it connects right onto the Mayfly board, and then it'll give you a display of data as it comes in to the Mayfly. So that'll be super helpful, make it a lot easier to get readings on your station, or determine if it's not reading data without having to remove the SD card or look on monitor. So here's the newer Yosemite turbidity sensor. You can see it has a wiper here. Shannon is currently testing that. It looks promising, and it will be a little less expensive than the Campbell version as well. Here's the new ClariView 10 from Campbell. It is not wipered. Anything wipered from them, I think, is pretty super expensive. But the one good thing about this new ClariView is that its field of vision is only an inch or two, as opposed to the previous OBS 3 Plus, which was about 15 to 18 inches. So obviously there's a lot better potential there for reducing fouling. Oh, Jim Moore, does the display require new software? No, it does not, Jim. It's just, it will just attach on, as I understand it. But Shannon will hopefully be able to give us a more comprehensive update on all the new technology that's coming out. Those different products that I mentioned, if I go back here, these are all now on the website and are available for sale. It does list the numbers of units that are available for all these. There's not a lot of them, but they are available right now. Hopefully, within the next month or two or three, we'll see. There's a lot of supply chain issues. The monitoring kits will be available, the ones that are comprehensive, allow you to assemble an entire station. Hopefully, those are going to be available for sale sometime soon. So that's what I have on updates. So are there any questions on any of that before we stop recording and go into open discussion?
David, this is Carol. Is
Yeah.
there, you know what the field of view is for the Yosemite, the new Yosemite turbidity white?
That's a good question, Carol. I think it's pretty short.
Shorter than it was.
Yes, I think I'm nearly positive that it's not anything close to the OBS 3 Plus. I would guess it's a couple inches, an inch or two, really. I'm not positive about that, but I'm pretty sure that it's substantially shorter. So you're going to have that benefit, as well as it being a wipered sensor. So you're going to be able to presumably keep out leaves and sticks and such, but also have the wiper to prevent biofouling. Jim is asking how much for the new turbidity sensor. You're meaning the Yosemite, Jim? Well, I guess both probably. The Yosemite is it's a little under 1,000. As it was explained to me by Shannon, there's like a 25% charge on bringing it into the country. So that bumps it up, but I think it's still it maybe 800 or something at that point. So it's significant.
Okay, so this has the wiper, correct? This is one with the wiper.
Yes, that's the wipered one, the Yosemite, and then the ClaraView, I believe, is a little pricier. It's probably 12 to 1,400, somewhere in that range. And again, it's the same type of situation as with the OBS 3 Plus, where you have to purchase the sensor and the wire is an additional cost. And I think that all totals up to 1,200, something like that. And I don't know if they even, it is available right now. So there is an actual price to it. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it's definitely well over $1,000 for the ClaraView. Any other questions about those updates?
No.
Okay. So if we go to discussion now, we had some feedback in July just about some, ways to have a little more time for open discussion. So if anyone would like to talk about their projects that they have going on to kind of get feedback from the group or anything like that, feel free right now.
Do you want to stop the recording?
Yes, and I will stop the recording after I make this point here. So yeah, so, this is certainly just a time, I think, now at this point where we can have open discussion. I am going to stop recording just so that we've gotten enough feedback at this point that there's definitely a kind of, people don't really feel as free to talk if we're having a recording. So I will stop recording right now.